When we picture the Roman arena, we usually imagine a chaotic, lawless slaughterhouse, a blood-soaked sandbox where human life was considered cheap, and desperate men hacked each other to pieces until only one was left standing. But the historical record reveals a different reality. Gladiators were expensive, highly trained assets. Treating them as expendable meat was terrible for business. Instead, they were managed, traded, and maintained like modern elite franchise athletes. Originally, gladiatorial combat was an intimate affair. It began as a funerary rite, a blood sacrifice to honor the passing of wealthy aristocrats. Over the centuries, the Roman state realized the political power of these displays and scaled them into a massive global entertainment industry. Operating at that scale required massive capital. That money was controlled by the lanista, a businessman who purchased, trained, and housed the fighters. As you can see from the ruins of the Ludus Magnus, the largest gladiator training facility in Rome, these schools required a massive physical footprint and immense financial investment. This created a significant economic problem for the lanista. A fully trained gladiator cost a fortune. If every spectacle ended in a disorganized fight to the death, the manager would lose their entire investment in a single afternoon and face immediate bankruptcy. To remain highly profitable, the Romans engineered a system that delivered the thrilling illusion of constant death while aggressively protecting the underlying financial assets that made the games possible. We can see exactly how they protected those assets by looking at the physical evidence left behind in places like Ephesus, in modern-day Turkey. This ancient city holds a massive gladiator graveyard, providing a wealth of modern scientific data. The skeletal remains discovered in these mass graves offer an unvarnished, direct forensic record. By examining these bones, osteoarchaeologists can reconstruct a gladiator's daily physical reality. This chart comparing bone isotopes reveals a severe lack of animal protein. Gladiators consumed a carbohydrate-heavy diet of barley and beans. This served a precise purpose, building a thick layer of fat. This natural armor stopped shallow blades from reaching vital organs. The bones also contained unusually elevated levels of strontium. This confirms that combatants drank a specialized ash-based mineral tonic designed to rapidly heal microfractures and fortify overall bone density. The medical care was equally sophisticated. Galen, the Roman Empire's most famous physician, started his career as a gladiator doctor. He honed his advanced valmetathoneveny by successfully treating severe wounds and keeping these valuable, expensive assets alive. Between the mineral tonics and the elite physicians, these men received superior medical and nutritional care compared to the average citizen. They were far too expensive to let die from a preventable infection. Inside the arena, the combat was highly regulated. Fighters were assigned specific classes and customized gear. The heavily perforated visor on this bronze helmet is a perfect example of how meticulously the combatants were outfitted for a distinct style of fighting. Matchups were intentionally asymmetrical. A lanista would pair a heavily armored, slower fighter against a very quick, lightly armed fighter. This offsetting dynamic was designed to prolong the fight, ensure fairness, and maximize the entertainment value. These matches had referees. Known as the summa rudis, these officials carried staffs and possessed the absolute authority to enforce the rules, separate the fighters, and halt the combat if the violence became unmanageable. Forensic evidence backs this up. When researchers map the fatal injuries on gladiator skeletons, the wounds appear almost exclusively on the specific body parts left unprotected by that fighter's designated armor class. They fought by the rules. Even when a fighter lost, death was avoided if possible. If the sponsor explicitly ordered a defeated gladiator to be killed, that sponsor was legally required to pay a massive replacement fee for the destroyed financial asset. The combination of strict combat rules, highly active referees, and exorbitant replacement fees kept the overall mortality rate in check. Actual death in the arena was an expensive exception rather than the rule. Despite the immense physical pampering and elite medical care, gladiators occupied the absolute bottom of the social ladder. Legally, they were classified as infams, marginalized individuals who were permanently stripped of their civic rights, their voting power, and their basic humanity. Yet culturally, they were idolized. They functioned as the international rock stars and celebrity endorsers of antiquity, their likenesses stamped onto everyday consumer merchandise like this carved pottery vessel. The societal obsession reached extreme levels. A gladiator's blood was sold as a medicinal remedy. The allure was so powerful that even sitting emperors, like Commodus, abandoned their elite, untouchable status to step onto the sand and emulate the very infames they legally owned. This map traces the global footprint of the industry, stretching from the Colosseum in Rome to the distant northern frontier of York, England. There, archaeologists discovered a gladiator skeleton bearing lion bite marks, proving that this massive sports franchise reached the farthest edges of the known world. The Roman arena functioned with cold, calculated efficiency. It was a perfectly engineered business machine that simultaneously reduced human life to a financial commodity and elevated it to the status of a god.